Hello Targar friends, hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and it's time for another Orc Mode workout, and today was max effort bench press day. But just a reminder for those of you who watch these vlogs every single day, please click like down below, help me keep the likes higher than the dislikes. Only you can do that, and we don't always successfully do that, so please, please, please click like down below. It would be greatly appreciated. Reach down there and do it. Thank you so much. So today I decided to take the Buffalo bar, which I've been doing my speed work with, and to do a max with chains and kind of see where we're at. And I think what I want to do is just rotate my bars and just use similar amounts of chain and band weight, something like 40 to 50 pounds for a while, so that we use fairly light band or chain and just rotate through my different bars. So that gives me, with each bar, two different accommodating resistances, and that'll give me a little more variation for my conjugate stuff, and just practice straining, and I'll take some of them to failures like I'm doing here. But we found that this bar I'm a little bit weaker, right? Because bands are usually slightly more difficult than chains, slightly. Okay, 50 pounds of band versus 43 chain. I got a slightly heavier weight with the other bar last week. Okay, slightly better weight. So we know that I'm a little bit weaker on this, but it makes sense because I'm doing it obviously closed grip, because it's the only way it doesn't hurt my shoulders with this bar, and longer range of motion because this bar adds about an inch to the bottom. So it is going to be a little bit harder. So it's reasonable, it's to be expected, right? We're not going to bench as much on this bar as a straight bar, and I know that from past also, right? It's quite a bit different. In fact, what I managed to get with this bar, I'm actually fairly happy with. The fact that I even got over 300 pounds plus the chains with this bar, I'm happy with that for now. It's okay. Needs to go up. But we missed this one, right? Got it halfway up, about where my board presses are. Doesn't mean that's always the way we program board presses. And I'm going to adjust where I'm putting my board presses, because I got a feel for them today, and I was so fatigued after doing all the other stuff that I feel like I'm not getting everything that I want out of them. And I feel like kind of where my close grip slot is, a lot of my close grip pressing here that we do with different bars, this is really where I need to put the board presses on max effort day. Okay, this is where they need to be, because I'm going to do dips afterwards. And the dips, I only care about generating fatigue. They're really high reps. Even if I do banded or weighted, I don't do less than 10. They're there to create fatigue. I don't care if I'm a little bit tired. The boards, we're trying to get a heavier amount of tension to really load my triceps up through the top half of the range of motion. Okay, I'm doing it largely as a tricep exercise, but I feel so much chest on it that I may not be getting the effect I want. And it could be because I'm fatigued by the time I get there. My chest is really, really fatigued, and therefore I'm not able to push as much weight, which of course means I'm not going to get that tricep loading I want, that mechanical tension that I want on the triceps, which is kind of why I'm doing it. I'm doing something a little bit different because we already do all this full range of motion stuff. And plenty of powerlifters have great success for that as a tricep, big tricep builder. And so that's what I'm going to be doing, because I'm not wanting to do a lot of extensions and stuff these days. Again, just for overall elbow health. And again, a lot of times they just end up working the long head, which doesn't build my bench at all. Doesn't help my bench for the most part. So I'm going to rotate them in here next time and then do the dips afterwards. And then I'll start adding JM presses, because again, I want to make sure my triceps get overdeveloped. So if that means we do 5 sets of board presses, 5 sets of dips, and 5 sets of JM presses, well, that's what we have to do. That'll pretty much be all my triceps can handle. But I think I need to point out that my banded dips tend to hit my pecs the hardest. And that's the other reason I don't need another press that's necessarily fairly pec dominant, even like my close grips are, before that, because the dips really take my chest through the full range of motion. They take me through a full range of motion. I get a stretch reflex. My chest gets a ridiculous pump. Right, I can get most of my chest training off the dips. And as far as bench practice goes, my speed days give me that. Like I'm setting up and doing benching for high sets. So not a big deal. We can do maxes and we can do the speed work, and everything else can really just be about developing what I need. So I think for me, moving forward, I'm going to start working with different board presses, different heights on the board press. Start board pressing on my max bench day right after benching. Then we'll do the dips. Then we'll work JM presses in. Because again, I just felt like I couldn't handle the weights that I should have. Because on speed day last time I did speed benching, which isn't fatiguing for me. I did my dips, and then I did the board presses, and I was slightly stronger than today. I was able to handle the same weight for more reps. So it took a lot out of me to do all this other stuff, and I was surprised because the dips, I picked up a rep today. I managed to get 12 with this band on every single set. So my dip strength is improving slowly. It's improving slowly. Oh, by the way, for those curious, I'm going to go into a mild caloric deficit tomorrow, starting officially tomorrow, and I'll just kind of assess how it goes. I feel like with what I'm doing with my training and everything else, I can continue to gain strength while losing a little bit of fluff. Because what's happened is that even though I've kept my food pretty constant, since I went from training the 7 days a week to my 4 day here and just doing restoration workouts, I've noticed the scale started climbing while eating the same amount of food. Now, some of that could be water weight, and it probably is some water weight because you don't gain fat at the rate that my scale weight went up. It's not possible. So a lot of things happening with the training, other stuff. So like literally I've gained something like 7 pounds in 3 weeks. That's like, okay, that's out of nowhere because I was maintaining. I haven't gained a single pound eating the same calories for like 3 months, or maybe a pound, right? Maybe a pound or two tops. Very, very little. And eating the same food, like the scale has just climbed like 7 pounds. So I need to sort that back out. So I'll go on a little bit of lower calories. It will keep all that where I want it. Like I need to trim the extra fluff down, see if the water weight comes off. I feel like I have the training dialed in enough because I did this before, where I did little mini cuts and things, and people didn't even realize it. I didn't even mention it, like last year while doing conjugate, and still managed to get PRs. But looking even at my footage and pictures, like October, if you guys go back to October, I was considerably leaner than I am now. Quite a bit. I wasn't ripped, but I was leaner. I need to get back to kind of that point. And mainly it's about nutrient partitioning. It's about having good strength versus size ratios, all these things. So I could stand to trim down. And I feel like I've got this training dialed in enough that I can still make very small strength gains and muscle gains while losing some body fat. I feel confident I can do that because I've done it before. So I think I'm in a good position to go ahead and do that. And it just needs to happen for my overall health, for everything else. And again, better nutrient partitioning. But I messed with the 4 board and the 5 board today on this, which is the same weight I did last time, 275 on my close grip. But it was harder. Like trying to get even 5s was difficult. So I started with the 4, and then I went over to the 5 just to rep the top so I could try to work some tricep. But I think it's the general workload and fatigue that's already accumulated by this point. It's making the board presses not really ideal. I mean, if I was going to do higher reps with lighter weight, it would be better at this point. But really kind of where this slot is really where the dips need to be. So I think that's what I'm going to do. Again, kind of figuring out how to program these into my training right now. I haven't messed with boards in a long time. And I feel like they can bring a lot to the table for me, but they've got to be put in the right spot. And I think keeping them on max effort day, right? We do them on max effort day after the max bench. And then I'll do dips, JM presses, all that. And then on speed day, because I'm getting all those sets of bench, I'm not as worried. Then I can focus on dips and JM presses and other stuff. And I think that would be much, much better in terms of keeping consistent with the programming style. So we'll do max work and board presses, and then all of our normal accessories after. And then speed day, I'll just do speed benching and then do the same accessories. And I think that's the way I want to work all of this to get the most out of it. And again, the same thing, because I feel like, yeah, this will help triceps too, but it might not do everything that I need it to do. And the dips are so chest dominant for me, even though they're technically, a lot of people will consider them a tricep exercise, and they are, that I feel like I'll need the JM presses in there. But that's fine. I mean, board presses, dips, JM presses, while running a max effort and dynamic effort bench template, I think it'll be fine. Be good. And then obviously everything else is focused on shoulders and upper back and all the support musculature. But these were tough today. Like I found them to be hard. I struggled with them a little bit. Struggled with them a little bit. But I feel like, again, if I practice board work, I'll get stronger at board work. I'll get more proficient at it. And like I said, I've got plenty of stuff. I can always rotate a 2 or a 3 board in also for max work later. I can always do that if necessary. But I feel like I've got 3 bars. Of course, I could always floor press them also. I can run bands or chains on either one. I could add the axle bar if I really, really wanted to get even more variation. I could press with an axle bar. That could give me 4 different bars if I wanted. Do them raw, do them with bands, do them with chains. I'll tend to stick with bands or chains though, rather than raw. I could floor press any of them. I think we're fine. We've got a lot of variation. Got a lot of variation. Then we got to our inverted rows. Again, sets of 12 for these. And I'm gripping on my hair wider now. I'm making sure I put my pinkies on the rings. Because again, mainly I want to make sure this is really an upper back exercise. Yes, it's going to train the lats some. But if we wanted to just do lats, obviously we just do pull-ups. And I'm good at pull-ups and chin-ups, but they cause shoulder inflammation when I do tons of them. I was doing 100 chin-ups a day at one time. And this is technically harder for me. So people say, what do you mean it's harder? Well, because of pull-up, I'm actually pretty proficient. But you're using more lat. My lats are big. My lats are big. This takes the lats a little bit more out of the equation. So I don't know that it's harder because, 12 reps is pretty tough for me at over 220 on pull-ups. But it's relatively challenging. It's not like half as easy as a pull-up is. Because, again, I'm putting more focus on the upper back. And my other rows use a little bit more lat while still hitting the upper back. And I do those on, squat and deadlift days, my pin lay rows. So these are here to put a different emphasis. Right? I want to make sure that I'm working my upper back. Right? Traps, mid traps, lower traps, rhomboids, rear delts. Rear delts are a big one because I don't want to do a bunch of face pulls right now. This can handle it. 10 sets of this every week. We're getting a lot of rear delt work. Plus I'm doing the upright rows. And I get cramps in my rear delts on these, especially when I do them wide. Like sometimes my rear delts cramp. So if we're cramping that muscle and I know it needs work, I'm going to say that we've got a pretty effective movement for it. Biomechanically, when you look at it, it's a good movement for it. EMG shows that it lights them up very effectively. And I get cramps in that muscle. I'm going to say those 3 pieces of evidence together, it's a damn good rear delt exercise. Anyone can try to disagree with that, but you're going to have a hard time with that logic. Then we did our 5 by 12 to 13 on the wide grip upright rows. And again, I will point out every single time, this is a counter-indicated exercise if you do it incorrectly. I'm wide grip. We do not do these narrow grip and do not pull it all the way to your chin. Stop a hair short. I go fairly high at this point, mid-chest. Wide grip. My fingers are on the rings. Okay, I'm on the actual bench press rings. Get that grip wide. And people can argue whatever they want about my form or anything else. You know what? My delts light up. Okay? My delts light up. I feel my side delts tremendously. That's what I care about. This is just pump type work to hit these other muscles that need to be developed with a bunch of volume that I can recover from. This exercise is easy to perform. It gives me DOMs in the muscles I want it to work frequently. Not lately, but the first couple workouts it sure did. Okay, it's easy to recover from, easy to perform. I can do it with short breaks. So that's all there is to it. And it seems to work. It hits my side delts in terms of at least feeling them. And that's not everything, but it's something. Feeling them more than laterals and stuff did, and they need the work. So we know it works them. And again, also hitting some rear delt and trap and everything else. So to build the whole shoulder girdle. But again, the wide grip is essential for shoulder health. And I don't take it all the way to my chin. It's not necessary. So again, we avoid risks of injury. And again, I've had people come in the comments and say, well, so-and-so says it's just not inherently dangerous to go to the chin. I'm like, look, you do whatever the hell you want to do. Okay, you can do what you want based upon their recommendations, but if you think their recommendations are better than mine, I don't know why you're here watching me. And when you get hurt, don't come cry to me about it. Okay, because I'm telling you this, I do it this way for safety reasons. Plenty of experts agree with that. And yes, it's possible that it might be safe to do it the other way. Are you really building any more shoulder doing that. And if you choose to take that risk, that's your business, but I don't want to hear about it. Okay? And I think that's fair of me. Do whatever you want to do, man, but I'm going to do it this way. And you're not going to convince me not to. And then we did 5 sets of hammer curls to failure in the ballpark of 20 reps on each set. I lost count. The last set ended up getting more because I took a longer break. I intended to take really short breaks, and I got sidetracked with a client sending me a message, and it ended up being like 3 or 4 minutes before the last set. So I got well past 20 on it also. But again, the hammer curls, why? Carry over to all my rowing better. You know what? My biceps don't particularly grow no matter what I do. This probably hits them just as well as anything else I do. I still do some of my band curls every week with a supine grip, but this will work the brachialis well, radial brachialis, some forearm, and the specificity might carry over to my rows better, because you know what, if I get stronger at all my rowing, which have a again a pronated grip, you know what, if I get stronger at all my rowing, my upper back and stuff will grow faster, which I also need. So again, biceps are a possible weak link in all that because my biceps aren't particularly well developed. Never have been. Well, they have been, just not in my older age, before injuries and stuff. So, if they get stronger and it carries over to my performance on some of those other lifts, hey, great. And then we have the bench press aspect, right, which we've discussed before. They're an important stabilizer for the tricep on the bench. And if your biceps and the forearm and everything get bigger, you can compress against them and create a small spring-like effect on the bottom of the bench. Now, is that going to be night and day? Are you going to get 20 pounds out of your bench from that? No. Could it be enough that maybe with enough meat added to your arm there, you might get a pound or 2 on a max in a competition? Possibly. So, go ahead and build it up. But then we also have the stability aspect. I have a friend, coach, and he watches these vlogs sometimes. Pretty strong guy, actually, who's getting bicep tendonitis and feel like he pulled a bicep doing a 5-rep bench the other day. So, again, goes to show you that the bicep can be an important stabilizer in the bench press. Okay? It can be an important stabilizer, especially to the point to where someone feels like they injured a tendon doing it. But it was a good workout. Overall, happy with the work done. Feel like, again, I need to reorganize some of it a little bit with the board pressing, figuring out exactly how to place them. We're going to continue to get stronger, but it is time to get a little bit leaner, and I want people to understand when I say that, I do not mean I'm going to get ripped. I don't know how many times I have to say that, because people lose track of that every time. They're like, didn't you finish your cut? I did. All right, guys, that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.